So what are attachment styles, right? So there are 4 adult attachment styles. So I'm gonna break them down to you, and I'm gonna tell you what they are. So there's the anxious attachment style, there's the avoidant, there's the disorganized, and then there's the secure attachment style. And attachment styles, and this is what happens. So attachment styles are from childhood, from the beginning, from usually we are, like I said to you yesterday, we're like little sponges. From when we were born to about 7 years old, we absorb everything. And what happens is our nervous system starts getting wired and set from the beginning. Okay, and that's why this attachment style is already wired from the beginning. So what happens is how your attachment style is wired in your nervous system is truly based on how you were, like I said, either loved or not loved, or taken care of or not taken care of, nurtured, not nurtured. And that started at a very young age. And what happens as you get older into adulthood, that's already in your system. So let's give you an example. Before I even break down what the different attachment styles are and kind of, give you a little paragraph of them, but let me give you an example. So if you had let's say, and that's another thing about attachment styles, it's not one or the other. A lot of people associate with a few, if you had a little bit of the anxious and the avoidant, or vice versa. So some people, it's not necessarily one or the other. Okay, and I want to say something to you. And your attachment style, even though it's something that has been wired in your nervous system since a child, does not mean that it has to stay the same. No, this is something that you actually can rewire. This is something that can be changed. You're not stuck with your attachment style. You're not labeled with anything. It's the same thing as when I try to explain to people, I said, be really careful on how you think about yourself and what you think about yourself, and realize, is it true or not true? So when it comes, it's the same thing with like learning attachment styles, learning, when we talked about yesterday, learning, our feminine essence, learning masculine, and all of that. All of this stuff is fluid too. So in the sense of your attachment style, if you, after you go through this, and I want you to have an awareness, so today we're actually doing an overview, of attachment style, so you can start being aware of this. But if you are associating, like if as I read them, and if you're thinking, okay, I feel like I'm more that, let me say something. That's fine. That's fine. Just knowing that you're being aware of it, can be a game changer. Okay. It's already a start. It's already a start. So that's a really good thing. So again, the example I was trying to tell you. So in attachment styles in our childhood, there are attachment styles that are how we actually connect, and especially with our lovers and what we need from them. And when you have an attachment style, for example, it was my ex-husband, we had opposites. So if I was anxious and he was an avoidant, okay, I'm going to explain that. So if I had an anxious attachment style, meaning that I felt that, I always needed to lean in, and that's how I felt loved. I needed him to lean in and I felt loved. When he would go inwards and he was so avoidant, because that was his attachment style, it almost like we continue. What happens is, if you're not aware of this, and especially if you are a woman and you have an anxious attachment style, and then you end up with an avoidant attachment style, what's going to happen is you're going to continue on re-traumatizing each other. Yes, re-traumatizing each other, because you both have a different attachment style. So one, like I said, that's what was happening to me and my ex-husband. I was needing to go in, he was needing to go out, and every time he went out, and I didn't know about this back then, but every time he went out, I just felt depleted. I felt like, oh my God, this is the worst feeling in the world. And every time that I went in, he felt suffocated, and it was like, oh my God, it's the worst feeling in the world. And we couldn't get that right. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. So that's, I really want to use, this is, to start really understanding this, because this is so good. This stuff is so fascinating and so powerful. Okay, what's the second one? Hold on. So let me break them down. Let me break them down to you. So one of the attachment styles is anxious attachment style. So what that really means is you're preoccupied with relationships and you're really fearful of abandonment. Like those are the types that you're in relationships and you're always kind of feeling like the other person is going to leave you, or they're not happy. And there's lots of worries and stress about your relationship. You're always in more of a sense that you're not feeling like things are right and things are not in alignment. There's not an ease to that relationship. And as a child, usually people that have more of an anxious attachment style, as a child, you might have had inconsistent caregiving. Yes. You might have, for an example, your parent was there 1 minute and then they weren't there the next minute. So you always had that, like, I don't know, you never knew when people were coming and going. And that started getting wired from a young age when you were a little girl. I know. So your nervous system was already on high alert because you didn't know what was going to happen next. Okay, so that's just a kind of an overview what I mean by an anxious attachment style. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Avoidant attachment style. So this is more for in your childhood, your parents or your caregiver, they were very overwhelming. They were engulfing you, always in your business, always asking you what to do, always trying to, like you're going to get hurt and protect you and constant on top of you. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. And from a child, you didn't have enough space. You actually felt like you couldn't even breathe. And you didn't get to learn or really be able to have your own sense of self. Because it was a constant telling you what to do, telling you how to be, always over you, always on top of you. And so you had to learn to be very self-reliant. And so now in relationships, you need more space. You need space because it was a constant wiring of completely on top of you all the time. And now as an adult, it truly is a fear of being overwhelmed and controlled by your partner. Okay? That's what starts happening when you have the avoidant attachment style. When your partner, and especially like someone like me that needed to lean in, you automatically will feel overwhelmed or controlled. And not necessarily that's what's going on. So that's why these are so important to learn what's going on.